Hi, my name is Coral Holmes. I am working on my informative speech for Communication 175. My topic is on autism, and the duration of this is supposed to be 5 minutes. Autism. Many of you have probably heard this word before. I know when I first heard this word, it was when I was helping out a student several years ago, and my initial thinking of autism was just a person that is so disconnected to the world. They sit on the floor flapping their hands together, moaning to themselves. However, I recently have been working with a little boy with autism for the past several months and have learned quite a bit about this disorder, and I am hoping to help you to know a little bit more about this. I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions about autism, and I hope that this will help you learn a little bit more about this disorder, which is becoming more and more prevalent in our society, especially as we're beginning to understand it more and more. Our first question is, what is autism? And autism, simply defined, is a neurodevelopmental disorder which is impairments of growth, of development of the brain's central nervous system that affects emotion, learning ability, self-control, and memory. I have here a brain scan of Temple Grandin, who is a rather famous autistic individual who has contributed to our society significantly over the years, and this brain over here, which is of just a regular Joe's. Now, if the brain doesn't develop properly, the ventricles are going to fill up the space that isn't developing correctly. And if you'll notice in Grandin's left part of her brain that it is significantly larger than average Joe's here. And this is a part of the brain which deals with language, and Ms. Grandin here has been known over the years to struggle with verbal communication, and is something that is quite commonly found in those who have autism. There are actually two other parts of the brain that are believed to be most affected by autism, which would be the amygdala, and that is the functioning and processing emotions and behavior. And the third one, is the hippocampus, which works in learning and memory. Now, the second question that is most commonly asked is, what are the common traits of those who have autism? We discussed the part of the brain that seems to be most affected by autism. And so many with autism have sensory challenges, difficulty with communicating their needs and their wants verbally, parroting, holding eye contact, the obsessive need of a strict schedule or objects, and also the fixating on interests, which could be tornadoes, ocean life, or many other different things that whatever they want to learn about. Now, while they may have these things in common, there is this shared saying among professionals that when you've worked with one child on the autism spectrum, you've worked with one child on the autistic spectrum. And because that no two individuals have the exact same characteristics or traits, that is considered a spectrum disorder because it is just so vast in its diversity of symptoms. Question number 3. How severe is autism? Now, autism can be as mild as someone who just has a few personality quirks to be so severe that you are unable to communicate verbally, and it can also be aggression towards self and others. Now, the fourth question is, how is autism diagnosed? Autism, while we did look at some brain scans, that actually is not how you diagnose an individual with autism. How it is done through a clinician who is specially trained in being able to look at the development of an individual and see where they are at. And that is how that they are able to figure out autism. And sometimes they can take several weeks, up to a number of years, to be able to figure out if an individual has autism. The last question is, can autism be cured or at least treated? Autism is a chronic disorder, and it is not something that can be cured. It is something individuals will have to live with their entire lives. However, with the medical advances that we have made and all the studies that have been done on this, that there are many treatments out there to help individuals with the more crippling parts of their autism that could hinder their growth. And just to name a few, we have occupational therapy, play therapy, music therapy, social skills training, dietary interventions, medication, and along with many others. And it's usually through a combination of these things that are able to help these individuals with the therapeutic needs that they need for their specific kind of autism. Now, my friends, from all those years ago, from my first impressions of autism to now after working with an individual who has it, I read this wonderful saying that I think sums up autism really well, and it is from John Robinson, who is an author of his memoir, Look Me in the Eye, detailing his life with Asperger's syndrome, which is a type of autism. He said, quote, "So is there a cure?" I asked. "It is not a disease," he explained. "It doesn't need curing. It's just how you are." End quote. May we seek to overcome these judgments of those who have autism and seek to understand it better, to learn about these individuals and realize that they are unique and that they are special, and that we don't necessarily need to cure them. We just need to help them like we do so many others in overcoming their weaknesses. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.